The Kansas City Chiefs 90-man roster includes 13 wide receivers, 10 of whom I think have a legitimate shot at making the roster, one of whom does not, in my opinion, have a legitimate shot at making the roster, though he has a lot of professional experience. And of those 13 guys or 13 wide receivers, 10 guys that I think can make the roster, they only have 6 or 7 spots. So I wanted to give a rundown of the wide receivers here to try to really get a little bit of a handle on what's going on. So we're going to go through the wide receivers one by one. At first, Elijah Badger, the UDFA, 6'1", 192, 23 years old, a little bit older for a rookie, especially with Brett Veach as the general manager. No Diddy, but does have a whole lot of speed, does have some body control stuff that is a plus. Played both as a possession wide receiver as well as a deep threat in college. So I think I'm more sold on Elijah Badger than much of the Chiefs media seems to be. Hollywood Brown is one of the 4 guys that is going to make this roster. There's no need to spend too much time here. 5'9", 180, 28 years old, a speed merchant. But so one of the things that's going to be interesting about Hollywood Brown's season is whether or not he can do enough to really separate himself from Jalen Royals. I know Jalen Royals hasn't done anything in the NFL. Hollywood Brown has a 1,000-yard season and a couple 800-yard seasons. But here's the thing. Hollywood Brown is here on a 1-year deal. Jalen Royals is on his rookie contract. There's no question in my mind that Hollywood Brown will start the season as the number 2, number 3 receiver. Just depends on sort of the package and what the Chiefs are trying to do. But should Jalen Royals prove himself out to be a legitimate threat at the NFL level, well, it does you more good to have him on the field as long as he's not keeping Hollywood Brown from breaking out, right? So if Hollywood Brown is the Hollywood Brown that we have seen most of the time, then it would seem if Jalen Royals is who I think he can be, you have Jalen Royals on the field, especially because what that means is early in the season, the more reps Jalen Royals takes through the course of the season, the better off he'll be come the playoffs. We have seen both Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy take a step forward in the playoffs, which I think is something that gets undersold. Guys taking that next step in the playoffs. You don't see that. You really just don't see that. And both Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice have done that during their rookie seasons. Jason Brownlee, he of mini camp fame, 6'3", 202, 26 years old. We'll get back to a lot of these measurables in a moment, but this is a guy who has been really turning some heads in the minicamp setting. We will see if that carries through to the padded practices. Mac Dalena, a guy that, once again, I am higher on than most of Chiefs media. I believe I had the first bit of coverage on Mac Dalena as a UDFA for the Kansas City Chiefs the night he was signed as a UDFA. There's still that video live on the channel. So video for Mac Dalena, video for Elijah Badger, video for Jalen Royals in the 2025 NFL Draft Picks playlist here on the channel, so be sure to check those out if you're interested in it. 5'11", 180, and not even the Kansas City Chiefs know how old he is, because though he is young, see this NA over here, he has a miraculous beard, though not quite so miraculous as Jimmy Holiday, another UDFA, 6'1", 211 pounds, 23 years old. I don't think Jimmy Holiday has a shot at the 53 this year. It might be that he is able to distinguish himself enough to be on the practice squad. I didn't see a whole lot of special stuff out of his college film, though I did see a whole lot of interesting stuff. He is able to do a whole lot of things on the field. Can he translate that to the NFL? Then there's Sky Moore. This is the guy, probably you knew that. I don't think he makes the roster. I don't think there's any chance at this point that he makes the roster. There will be an interesting talking point later in this video about Skyy Moore. However, 5'10", 195, still only 24 years old. Though he is 24 years old, he is yet to get open in the NFL. Nikko Remigio, 5'9", 187, 25 years old, flashed a lot on special teams last year. We will get into more Remigio, wherefore art thou, Remigio, in a moment. Rashee Rice, 6'1", 204, 25 pounds, injured all last season, or 13 of last season's games. Unquestionably, I think at this point, the team's number one wide receiver, though I think he is a high-end number two wide receiver, and I don't mean that to disparage him. I just think he's more of a number two receiver than a number one receiver. The Chiefs don't have that absolute lead dog, in my opinion. Justyn Ross, 6'4", 210 pounds, still only 25 years old, though it seems he has been creeping around the practice squad for 17 seasons now. Justyn Ross, it appears, will never be what he was, but he can do it once in a while. He won't ever be as good as he once was, but he can be as good once as he ever was. Whether or not, I just don't think it's going to happen with the Chiefs. I included him on the list of three guys on here that I don't think have any shot at the team. So just to recap, Justyn Ross, I don't think has any shot at the team. Jimmy Holiday doesn't have any shot at the team, and Skyy Moore, I don't think has any shot at the team. I think Skyy Moore has used up his chances. I think Justyn Ross has used up his chances. I don't think developmentally Jimmy Holiday is there yet. Jalen Royals is one of the four guys that I think absolutely 100% makes this team. So you have Justyn Ross, Skyy Moore, and Jimmy Holiday, three names that I don't think make the team. Then you have Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Jalen Royals, Hollywood Brown are the only four guys that I think absolutely 100% make this team. A lot of people include Juju Smith-Schuster in there. I don't. He has left before. He has not been here before in his time since being here. So, an interesting mix that of 13 guys, only 7 are yes or no. So you've got a lot of spots in the middle there. Jalen Royals, 6 foot tall, 195 pounds, 22 years old. Did a lot of stuff at the college level that makes me believe he is absolutely going to make the team. Obviously, he's going to make the team. He was a high draft pick, but going to produce in his rookie season. A lot of people thought that he was a second-round pick. I think that he has the potential of a number 2 wide receiver. So that's what I think about Jalen Royals. Juju Smith-Schuster, 6'1", 215 pounds, 28 years old. Another guy on this list that is deceptively young. Juju Smith-Schuster has been in the NFL for 35 years now, only 28 years old. I believe he was one of those guys that came into the NFL at 20. I believe he was still 20 when he was drafted. Tyquan Thornton, 6'2", 185 pounds, 24 years old. Is a Marquez Valdez-Scantling clone as far as his abilities are concerned. Hopefully he can catch better than MVS. Hopefully he does not just run backwards. If he does break one tackle in the season and it happens to be in the Super Bowl. And then Xavier Worthy, 5'11", 165, 22 years old. So the notes that I have here, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Jalen Royals, and Hollywood Brown are the only locks as far as I can tell on this roster. Last season, the Chiefs carried 7 wide receivers into the year. I kind of botched this here, but last year their offense on week 1, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 1 fullback, 10 offensive linemen, 7 wide receivers, and 4 tight ends. Last year, the Chiefs only had 3 backs, including a fullback in Carson Steele. This year, with Elijah Mitchell, with Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, and Brashard Smith, I think they're going to carry 4. So you're looking at, would it surprise me if Elijah Mitchell doesn't make the roster? I don't think so. Would it surprise me if Kareem Hunt can't get through the training camp process in convincing fashion that he can make it through a season? I don't think so. I don't think either of those things would surprise me, but I think that they're both wrong. I think that Elijah Mitchell will emerge as a playmaker for this offense. I think that Kareem Hunt will do better with a full offseason, full preseason than he did last year, not worse. So I think they carry 4 there. I think so that's one less spot for a wide receiver, because I think with the problems that they've had along the offensive line the past few seasons, going back to a Super Bowl that allegedly happened and no one seems to remember, myself included, they're going to find it difficult to justify carrying fewer than 10 offensive linemen. I think they just are going to want the depth there. They have the names on the roster. When you look at the guys who did make the roster last year, I think that you have Joshua Simmons and you have Jalen Moore, who are 2 guys that were both brought in and are starting level players, and you have all of the backups behind them still. The guy you lost was Joe Thuney. So you have one more starting level offensive lineman than even you had last year when you kept 10. They want 4 tight ends for whatever reason. I still don't know exactly what it is that Andy Reid has in mind for 4 tight ends. The 4th guy never really seems to play much, so I don't know what it is they're doing there, but I'm assuming they do, right? For some reason, they don't want 3 tight ends, they want 4 tight ends, and, story of my life. And 2 quarterbacks is the standard around the NFL. So with the fact that the running backs are going from 3 last year, running backs plus fullbacks, to 4, you're probably looking at 6 wide receivers, but guys, it might be worse than that. That's 26 players. The tabulation for what we just did. They might not want to overweight the offense, especially considering the offense is where all of the money is at on this team. They might want to. So you keep 3 specialists. You have 53 slots. That means you have 25 slots as a paradigm for the offense and 25 slots for the defense. Last season, they pulled in 26 offensive players to the week 1 roster, which meant that they were cutting it short on defense with 24. Given that all of the payroll on this team is on the offense, you might be looking at them wanting to keep 25 bodies on offense and 25 bodies on defense, which would mean that the Chiefs are only taking 5 wide receivers into the season. Just some random thoughts I had here. Just as a point of reference, the Chiefs did not have Rashee Rice or Hollywood Brown last season, right? Those guys were out. This year, they added Jalen Royals in the draft. I'm on record saying I think Rashee Rice is one of those high-end number 2 wide receivers in the NFL. Hollywood Brown appears to be a number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. He has traits of a high-end number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. And the Chiefs drafted Jalen Royals, who I think has high-end number 2 wide receiver stuff. So they might not have a number 1 wide receiver, a true lead dog in the wide receiver room. But imagine how much different the media apparatus would treat a different team if, in effect, they added 3 number 2 wide receivers in a single offseason. Imagine the Kansas City Chiefs prior to the year cut both Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice, and all of a sudden they signed with the Raiders. The media would be treating that as a massive coup. So, here's what I want to do for a moment here. Run down some of the 6 guys, is that right, that I think have a shot at this roster, starting with Elijah Badger. Again, I am much higher on him than a lot of people. 6'1", 200 pounds. You're looking at a guy that is in that Rashee Rice, Jalen Royals range as far as size is concerned. Ran a 4.43 40-yard dash. Rashee Rice did not. Had a 35.5-inch vert. Rashee Rice had a much better vertical. A 1.54 10-yard split. These are good numbers. He is a very versatile wide receiver. Like I said, he played possession wide receiver during part of his college career, and then he went to Florida and became a true deep threat in the SEC. So I think that the stuff that he was able to do at the college level, should he be able to translate those things to the NFL level, would make him a very valuable part of a wide receiver rotation. Then you have Mac Dalena, a guy that I'm way higher on than most people, 5'10", 180. Ended up with a 4.36 40-yard dash. That is a 9.72 out of 10 grade, a 38.5-inch vertical leap. Who says Wes Welker type receivers can't jump? A 10-foot 5-inch broad jump, a 4.13 short shuttle. I don't know that I have seen those numbers before for him, the agility numbers. I don't know if those are projected. Maybe I'm just misremembering. But anyway, good numbers here from Mac Dalena. He is a very shifty wide receiver. He's undersized, not the quickest off the ball, but decent agility numbers. Again, assuming they're real. I don't know what the U means next to these numbers. Unofficial, I guess. But as long as they were timed, because the 4.36 is real. I know that much, and that was at his pro day. The explosion number is very good, and you see that on film. I just think that this is a guy that Andy Reid would be able to do a lot with. Then Juju Smith-Schuster. It might be surprising I don't have Juju Smith-Schuster absolutely making the roster. I just don't see it anymore. These numbers, he's only 28 years old, but these numbers are definitely out of date. There is no way that he runs a 4.54 40-yard dash anymore. 4.54 is not fast, right? But it's good enough. I don't know that Juju Smith-Schuster runs a 5.44 40-yard dash anymore. But that 1.55 10-yard split was very good. So that is what he was utilizing for a lot of his the better parts of his career. I just don't know that he makes the team. I think that there are younger guys that are faster, that are more versatile. They haven't proven as much, right? So just like Robert Tonyan over one of the younger tight ends, whether that be Jorquarius Spivey or I'm blanking on the other tight end's name, Trey Watson. Robert Tonyan is the safe pick there. It might be that the Chiefs go with the safe pick here and take Juju Smith-Schuster. I just don't think he's the more explosive option at wide receiver. Then we have Jason Brownlee. 6'2", 198, 39.5-inch vertical, 10-foot, 11-inch broad jump. Those are great numbers. Not so great on the 40-yard dash with a 4.59, but his 10-yard split wasn't half bad at a 1.56. Then you have the one pretty bad number here and a decent one, a short shuttle of 4.32, which scored a 4.62. And then his 3-cone drill of 6.91, which is a decent 7.28 out of 10. 33.75, 33 and 3/4 inch arms. That is a big deal here. 33 and 3/4 inch arms on a 6'2" body that has a 39.5-inch vertical. This could be a back of the end zone, back corner threat like Mahomes has not had. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in training camp if he can keep that momentum going. Again, fairly young guy. I mean, it's not like has been in the NFL kicking around practice squads for terribly long, like for example, Justyn Ross. But maybe what we have seen from him previously is just who he is. He is a guy who gets preseason hype a lot, or has gotten preseason hype before, I guess I should say. Then we have, in my opinion, the most misleading RAS score on this list. Nikko Remigio, 5'9", 187, 19 reps on the bench press, his only green number, but spending that time on the bench press at a baby, right? 36-inch verticals, not bad. 10-foot 1-inch broad jump, not bad. 40-yard dash of 4.57, not good. A 20-yard split of 2.66, but a 10-yard split of 1.57. That's a decent number. Somehow, his agility numbers are terrible, with a 4.33 short shuttle, which is a score out of 10 of 4.41, and a 7.23 cone drill, which is a score out of 10 of 2.92. So, not great there. But he has proven that he can return punts at the NFL level. This might, and I hate to say this because I am loving the Nikko Remigio experience. This might make him a tradable asset. This might mean that there is something there that the Chiefs can get for him. There's a lot of guys on this list. I think the Chiefs are definitely going to be able to trade a wide receiver from this group. Who it is, what you're getting back, I don't know. But once those deals start going fast and heavy towards the deadline, I think that it's possible they move someone that way. Tyquan Thornton, the last name on the list of guys that I think can make the roster. 6'2", which is an 8.1 score, but a 181-pound weight, which is a 1.99 score. A 36.5-inch vertical is a decent number. 10-foot, 10-inch broad jump is a good number, but he had a 4.28 40-yard dash. That is a score of 9.96, and we're just going to read all of the speed numbers here because they are all impressive. A 2.46 20-yard split, which is a 9.97 score, and that 10-yard split, 1.41. I have seen it places, I know I say this every time I say it, but I just have to because I can't believe it. I've seen it represented as 1.51 other places. If it is a 1.41, that is the most incredible 10-yard split I have ever seen to memory. But somehow, that score is a 9.99. I do not know who runs a 10-yard split faster than 1.41. If anyone has that information, let me know. It strikes me as I'm saying this out loud that someone may have chimed in with that answer before, and I can't remember. But he also has 33 and 1/8 inch arms. Very impressive. But 8.25 inch hands. So that's kind of a conundrum. Also, terrible agility scores. 4.39 on the short shuttle, which scores 2.9, and a 7.25 on the 3 cone, which scores 2.35. I don't care. All he has to do is run straight. Maybe once in a while you have him run straight and then cut it a 45. Not a lot of agility running a post. So I think this is a real threat to make the roster. Now, the next point I have to say here, the last point I have to say here, this may sound ludicrous, may sound absolutely wild. Skyy Moore probably has the most trade value of any of the guys that I think will not make the roster, and might have the most trade value out of any of the guys that I think have a shot at the roster. Juju Smith-Schuster has already been discarded by another franchise after the Kansas City Chiefs. Other teams might look at that and say, I don't know. Nikko Remigio has only returned a few punts at the NFL level. Other teams might look at that and say, yeah, I got somebody that can do that. Elijah Badger has proven nothing at the NFL level. Mac Dalena proven nothing at the NFL level. Tyquan Thornton absolutely discarded by another franchise. If he can't prove anything here, why could he do it someplace else? This will be the thought process behind it. But Sky Moore has done some things at the NFL level. Not a lot, but some things. And I think, and again, I know I sound like a hypocrite saying this. I think Sky Moore might be more valuable to another team than he is to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that whatever it is that's in his game that is just not clicking in this offense, maybe he has the game to play someplace else. It is also worth noting that if any of these 13 guys not in the top 4, so 9 players there, any of them could be highlighted in the preseason. Any of them. Why? Well, because if they're on the field with Mahomes, Tyquan Thornton, for example, is definitely going to get reps with the ones during the preseason. Juju Smith-Schuster definitely going to get reps with the ones during the preseason. Then they can be highlighted by the greatest player in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. But also, the Chiefs have a very capable backup in Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew has tons of starting experience in the NFL. So, say they think they can gin up a little bit of a market for Justyn Ross. It's not just with the starters that they have to do that. Patrick Mahomes is going to be on a limited pitch count in the preseason. All they have to do is throw Justyn Ross on the field with Gardner Minshew, and he's out there with a starting quarterback. So definitely things worth watching for in the preseason. Who is it that is getting targets in the preseason games? That is nationally available footage for other teams to scout. And can they, like with Emir Smith-Marset just a couple years ago, flip a wide receiver that's not going to make the roster anyway for anything, really? Anyway, guys, that is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, over 2 years of consecutive daily uploads at this point, and I hope to have you back for the next one.